Once again, before this video starts, I encourage you to check out the link tree in the description if you want to help the people of Palestine. It should be under the watermelon emoji. When I went to go see Barbie in theaters this past August, I saw previews for a movie that I did not realize was getting a threequel. That movie being Trolls 3 Band Together. And watching the trailer, I remember saying to my friend, wait, why do I low-key want to see this movie? And then I never thought about it again until TikTok decided to remind me that the movie was coming out. And I guess I spent 5 seconds too many watching the trailer again because all of a sudden, the Trolls content erupted all over my For You page and I was dragged into the depths of the Trolls fandom. And I'm like, I didn't even know Trolls had a fandom. But now people are talking about Trolls, making fan art, cosplaying, doing the dances, writing fan fiction. There are several viral audios being made with lines from the movie.
Who is Adulty McMahon-Face?
The better question is, are you a narc?
And while its popularity was propelled by the third movie coming out, apparently Trolls has always kind of had a cult following. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I didn't hear anyone talk about the first two movies online when they came out. And because of that, this video is going to be about my general thoughts on this franchise, and we're also going to talk a little bit about how we need to normalize adults watching kids' media, because I promise you there are worse things in this world than a grown person watching and analyzing the Trolls movies. Trolls Prime came out when I was in 7th grade, and back then I cared a lot more about how I was perceived than I do now, especially after moving to a new school. Which is crazy to think about because 13-year-olds are so little. Why am I, a child, afraid to watch a children's movie? It was never that serious. Anyway, I probably watched the movie 2 times in total 7 years ago and then never thought about it again. TikTok has been shoving clips of the movie down my throat, so this rewatch won't be entirely fresh. But either way, I do know most of the very basic plot points. You know, Poppy and Branch going on an epic quest to save their friends from being eaten by Bergens and stuff.
2 hours later.
What the f*** was that? Okay, first off, the animation had no business being that good. What the actual fuck? I would watch this movie 1,000 times just to watch it. Also, the chef lady's character design in particular stuck out to me. I think it's really good. Side note, she doesn't have a name. And no one says anything about it. Also, I can't believe I'm saying this, but this movie has surprisingly good character writing. I can't tell if it's on purpose, but it is there. The scene that I think about all the time is the scene in the kitchen where Creek reveals that he's selling them out and Poppy tries to choke him to death. She's so dedicated to her people that she was willing to murder her crush without a second thought. Branch was just doing it just to do it, but Poppy went in for the kill. Queen shit, honestly, bravo. Not gonna lie, I don't really care that much about the other trolls aside from Poppy and Branch, but on that note, those two are a surprisingly cute pairing. I'm not a huge fan of the male lead and the female lead of a movie getting together because 90% of the time, it's just because of society's heteronormative standards and nothing else. And I'm not too big on enemies to lovers, but Branch and Poppy are actually kind of well written as a couple. That's not fair. How am I supposed to be a hater in these conditions? The way their relationship progresses is a lot more natural than I was expecting it to be, especially since they don't actually get together at the end of this movie. I feel like the two of them don't even feel that much romantic attraction towards each other when this movie ends. Or at least Poppy doesn't. That's how I interpret it. Oh, and this movie's actually kind of funny. It's not hilarious. An episode of SpongeBob would generally have a higher laughs per minute ratio. But one of the OG SpongeBob writers actually directed this movie, so what does that tell you? Anyway, Branch is the epicenter of this movie's comedy.
The Bergens are coming! Ah! The Bergens are coming! Ah! The Bergens are coming! Ah!
Bro, why did he flip the coffin? That is beyond disrespectful. Also, what does he have against this particular couple that he felt the need to intrude on all their special events? Also, the singing killed my grandma scene. Yeah, that's a funny thing to say, but I've always been more fixated on how insensitive the other trolls are. Like, Poppy asked what song she was singing as if that matters. Cooper says that his uncle broke his neck tap dancing once, which is completely unrelated. And then the other trolls sing the song Branch was singing when his grandma died. Like, read the room, guys. Imagine if your mom died in a car accident and all your friends start singing Life is a Highway. You're not making the situation better, you're just fucking around. Now, this movie has a lot of pop music in it, and I understand why there's pop music in this movie, and while the pop songs fit the tone pretty well, I absolutely fucking draw the line at Can't Stop the Feeling. I hate that song. It's stupid. It's not even like a visceral hatred. It's just not nearly as fun as it's trying to be. It's like Happy by Pharrell Williams. No one is happy listening to that song. I also really despise the dance party ending trope in movies, but to be fair, most of this movie has been dancing, so it's not as out of nowhere as it is in other films. Plus, something about the utter chaos of this ending makes it kind of charming, but then again, I'm kind of into mindless chaos, so I'm probably not the best judge. Besides, they play September during the credits, so I forget about the atrocious sin that just assaulted my ears moments before. Anyway, I guess this is me going on record and saying that I like Trolls 1. 7.5 out of 10. Not for everyone, but I see what you guys see in it. I'm not watching World Tour, though. I'm looking at the villain, and I already know she's gonna annoy the shit out of me and single-handedly drag the movie for me.
2 hours later.
And I was wrong? Wait, I was wrong? Listen, okay? I actually was not going to watch this movie. I figured there was nothing in it that would be so important to the plot that I wouldn't be able to infer while watching the third film. But you see...
I don't have my driver's license!
And my mom had work the day that the dorms closed, meaning that I was gonna be stuck at school for 6 hours with nothing to do. So I decided to just cave and watch the movie and... So this movie's message is just because people are different doesn't mean that we can't get along, which is pretty standard for a children's movie, but I've never seen a children's movie acknowledge the fact that the winners of history tend to rewrite it in order to make themselves look better. Why are those themes in Trolls 2? Or maybe I have seen a movie that does that, and I just don't remember because I don't watch movies. Let me know in the comments if there are other kids' movies that acknowledge these themes. Anyway, the movie doesn't go deep into these concepts, but the fact that they're even present. Like, I expect this kind of thing from Avatar: The Last Airbender, not Trolls. What the hell? Oh, and I love Poppy's character arc in this movie. Like, her unrelenting optimism causes her to not listen to her friends because she's convinced that what she believes is the only valid solution because it's a positive one. As much as I love Poppy, this right here is why I inherently don't trust positive people. 'Cause they don't fucking listen. And the thing is, Poppy does end up saving the day with the power of friendship just as she intended, but only after she shuts up and listens first. Like, I love how she listens to country music and is like, that's not good music, this is good music. It's like, no, Poppy, their way of life isn't less valid than yours. What else? I want to talk about the opening scene for this movie. First off, the opening number is really good. I appreciate how for both movies, it's like a remix of 3 different songs, and it's done so well that you could have fooled me into thinking it was one original song written for the movie. But I want to talk about troll reproduction. Now, I don't really want to say what prompted this, because it's a long story, but just know that TikTok started it. Anyways, trolls don't have genitalia, right? Because Guy Diamond is walking around naked and no one bats an eye. Also, he has a baby in this movie, and said baby hatches out of his hair. So I can only assume that that's how babies are made. And on that note, Guy Diamond is never shown to have a partner or anything, so it's my theory that not only do the male trolls give birth, like seahorses, but they also reproduce asexually. You know, I'm trying to get a 9-to-5 job in the future, so maybe I shouldn't talk about this anymore. Anyway, like I said, I'm mostly just here for Branch and Poppy, so I sure hope that James Corden doesn't cockblock them for the first half of the movie, and James Corden cockblocks him in the first half of the movie. Side note, why do people hate James Corden? I've looked it up 3 times and keep forgetting the reason. Please let me know in the comments because I really enjoy being a hater. Also, I love how even though Branch is in a better place now, his color palette is still desaturated. Because if I'm being honest, the bright blue at the end of the last movie was ugly as shit. I'm sorry. Oh, and I guess Queen Barb wasn't as irritating as I thought she'd be. Even though it's stupid that she completely heel turns at the end, they could have handled her arc better. Like, they tried to have hers mirror Poppy's at some point with her whole wanting to be a good queen thing, but she kind of just magically gets over her whole rock is love, rock is life attitude, like, instantly. Considering how headstrong she was throughout the movie, I'm afraid to say that the writers may have dropped the ball with this one. And you know what? That's okay. I'm bad at writing endings too. It's literally my least favorite part of writing any story, and they probably just ran out of time and were desperate to get to their little dance party ending. I expected to rate this one like a 4 out of 10, but shocker, it was actually kind of good. Again, 6 out of 10. These fuckers are 2 for 2.
Commercial break!
Okay, so Bonnie Front on Instagram very gently suggested that since I'm making this video, I might as well watch Trolls Holiday in Harmony. So while I wait for my friends to take me to the movies, I might as well watch this short film.
20 minutes later.
So the writers were definitely on the most illegal of substances while writing this, but Poppy kisses Branch at the end, so 10 out of 10. Side note, I'm literally writing this script as I go along, so I feel like you can really feel me progressively becoming more and more of a Trolls fan. Alright, and now for the grand finale, Trolls 3, in theaters. Okay, so planning outings is way too hard, so I'm just gonna watch it alone in my room, if it's all the same to you guys. Yeah, they kinda popped off with this one. But first, I have some nitpicks. The pacing of this movie is incredibly wonky in the first 30 minutes, which immediately stuck out to me the first time I watched it. It felt like we were literally wall jumping from one plot beat to the next. Maybe that's just because I watched Across the Spider-Verse like 4 times over winter break, and that movie really takes its time with every single scene being over 2 hours long and all. But once they find Bruce, everything kind of mellows out, so it's all good. This movie could have explained what the fuck Velvet and Veneer is supposed to be. All they had to do was say Mount Rageous, home of the species name, and we could have kept it moving. The NSYNC cameo was cute, but it's not canon, right? Because then where does it fit in the timeline? And speaking of timelines, Tiny Diamond is not 1 month old. It has not been a month since the last movie. The existence of Bruce's children completely disproves my Trolls reproduction theory, and that makes me really angry. It bothers me in this scene that Floyd's earring is made of felt. And lastly, they never really showed John Dory coming to terms with how he treated his brothers and realized that that's why they're all estranged. Like, there's this kind of running joke where they aren't excited to see him, and it's funny, but it would have been satisfying to see him acknowledge this. Anyway, this is easily the funniest movie in the trilogy. I'm actually so proud. The humor went from this to this.
Chrissy, I didn't think we'd both find ourselves tied up on this honeymoon.
And with how many jokes were posted all over social media, I'm surprised the movie still got a few good laughs out of me. The only joke that was really stupid was Branch in a diaper. Like, I know why they did it, but Lord almighty. Unfortunately, I saw pretty much every single clip of Velvet and Veneer that there was in this movie before I watched it, so they didn't really leave much of an impression on me, but that's not the movie's fault, it's mine for not filtering tags. Anyway, I like how even though Veneer had a change of heart, he doesn't actually get redeemed, as it was too little too late. I don't need to tell you that this movie looks gorgeous, but I want to give a special shout out to whoever designed Poppy's sister. I'm mad that she isn't in this movie that much. Actually, considering that she's on the poster, she really isn't in this movie that much. Huh. As for her backstory, first off, Poppy needs to have a serious talk with her dad. He did this in the second movie where he kept a major fucking secret from her and she's just like, lol, this guy. If there is to be a fourth movie, it's high time they acknowledge the rampant toxic positivity that King Peppy taught to her, because why am I more troubled than she is? Not that I don't want Poppy to be herself, because I loved her to death in this movie. I really enjoyed her playing a more supporting role because it allowed Poppy to just be Poppy, plus her instant bond with Viva is super cute. But maybe showing us a little more backstory on what it was like for Peppy to live in the troll tree in Bergentown, or show us what it was like to plan the escape, or what it was like to lose his eldest daughter and then just keep it moving even though he's supposed to embody happiness for the sake of his people. There's a lot you can do with Peppy's character. I hope the writers realize that they're sitting on a gold mine. A gold mine that they're certainly making up as they go along, because he and the town sure were laser focused on the one daughter, even though King Peppy has two. I know that Poppy's younger and stuff, but Peppy in the first movie does not have two daughters. Like, come on.
There's my princess.
And you know what? That's okay. I don't expect airtight continuity from trolls. Which isn't a backhanded statement. I also don't expect airtight continuity from SpongeBob or Powerpuff Girls. Yo, editing Lasso here. I just want to add that, first of all, if there's ever evidence provided that these movies aren't being written as they go along, then I'll take the L on that one. But also, even though I do think that they're being written as they go along, that's not a bad thing, because the stuff that they're adding doesn't make less sense. You know what I mean? Like, it actually makes more sense that not everybody escaped the troll tree. That's fine. As long as stuff isn't being, contradicted, it's perfectly fine to write the movies this way. DreamWorks is clearly going through some kind of artistic renaissance right now, and we all need to stand back and let them cook. I think this movie deserved all the attention it got. 8, 9 out of 10. Though if I'd have to pick my favorite, I'd say...
Let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny. What?
Yeah, the third one's the best, but the first one holds a special place in my heart. Although this will probably change soon, because the third one is really growing on me. Y'all, when I tell you, I genuinely did not expect to like these movies. When I originally decided to make this video, I thought I was going to be ambivalent, but understand why Trolls has a fandom. And that was going to be the thesis statement of said video. But like I said, DreamWorks kind of popped off with this one. Okay, so, do you guys remember how back in 2021, TikTok discovered the song Castaways from the Backyardigans? And then for a brief period in time, it was socially acceptable to enjoy the Backyardigans because the rest of the internet was on a nostalgia kick? Now, do you still see people openly talk about how much they enjoy the Backyardigans music unironically, like in a non-nostalgic sense? Because I sure don't. And the Backyardigans music is still kick-ass, by the way. Now, I'm not saying that it's not okay to grow out of things that you once enjoyed, because of course that's just a thing that happens. And it's alright to move on from trends. And of course it's fine to look at a kid's show or movie and decide that you're above it, as long as you're being reasonable and not ruining it for the kiddies. Peppa Pig fans do not interact. But I do think that we should be allowed to enjoy certain things even if they're aimed at children without being ridiculed for it, because these nostalgia kicks that the internet will randomly have proves that it is not about the quality, it's about the demographic. Y'all act like adult shows cannot be bad, and that's just not true. Getting a little real here, this has always been a part of my personality that I've been extremely insecure about, my affinity for things aimed for young people. It either leads to people being judgmental or treating me like a kid. I used to think that this was sincere, but now it just makes me wildly uncomfortable when people call me cute in that way. And I think if I'd found a video like this one at 13, where the main takeaway was that some people just see something in kids' media that others simply don't, and that it should be okay to enjoy these things, it would have made younger me just a little bit less insecure. And not gonna lie, as much as I try to come off as totally confident in my jovial interests,
It's not true.
My goal is that by talking openly about this stuff, I'll eventually be able to achieve that confidence. But for now, I gotta say, I enjoyed my slow burn with the Trolls franchise. It kind of reminded me that just because a bunch of people dismiss movies as garbage absolutely does not mean that it needs to influence your personal opinion. I didn't make this video to validate anyone. I made this video because I think that the Trolls movies are fun. And you know what? Sometimes that's all you need to achieve greatness.
Keys. Would you still love me if I made a troll soda?
Yes. I like trolls, so I don't see why that would be a problem.
Okay, so here's the deal. 2 of my friends so far have requested that I become their sugar daddy. Now, I'm not saying that I agreed, but I am saying that I really need you guys to go down and hit like and subscribe so I can make YouTube my side hustle. Also, please talk to me in the comments, not my DMs, because I have so many more thoughts that I didn't get to talk about because I didn't want this video to be too long. But you have to do it quickly before the fixation fades. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.